So the transfer window well underway now. Plenty of clubs already confirming deals this summer. Myself, Bobby Jackson and James Mason today are going to take you through some of the fresh lines that have been coming out. We're going to start off with one of the newly promoted clubs, and that's Aston Villa. They've already made a few moves in the transfer window as Dean Smith looks to ensure he has all the resources available to stay in the Premier League beyond this one season. Well, they have failed with a bid though. The news has come out today that Villa have offered £12 million for Bristol City's Adam Webster. The defender was a regular for the Robins last season as they just missed out on the playoffs. He only joined them from Ipswich the summer prior, and they paid around about £3.5 million for him. There were add-ons on top of that to potentially come through as well. The reports that we're reading state that Bristol City want £30 million for the player. It's a big fee that they're asking for, James.
It's a huge fee, and to be honest, it's something I don't think Bristol City will get. Yes, Webster had a good season with them, but to pay that amount for a player that's in the Championship, can't see that really happening. They could potentially bump it up to somewhere, I think the acceptable fee would be around 18 million, somewhere around there. And for a club like Bristol City, I think that's a lot of money where they could go away and buy the players. So if Villa wanted to do that, I think around that price is probably where I'd set the mark for them. Don't go any higher. If Bristol City ask for higher, go to another target. That was, anyway, about Webster. We move on to a story, to be fair, a player that seems to be getting involved in transfer roundup all the time. It's Marko Arnautovic, the West Ham United forward. He splits opinion. He had everything happen last season where he was going to go to China, then he signed a new contract. Then there was reports that West Ham were going to let him go for around £25 million this summer. They've now denied that, saying they want to keep hold of him, but will he still be there?
It's a tough one, isn't it? He's the type of player that can be very, very stubborn, and with those types of players, it becomes difficult then for the club to really be in control of the situation. He's a bit of a rebel, a renegade, if you like. He was talked about earlier in the summer by West Ham, and it was suggested by Manuel Pellegrini that they would accept offers of around about £25 million. They seem to now have backtracked on that. I think the fact that Andy Carroll has gone, Javier Hernandez has been linked away, they're starting to think, well, we might be left with no striking options. We need to keep someone at the club rather than having to overhaul the entire squad. So for me personally, I think he will stay this summer. I think he is likely to maybe go in January if West Ham aren't performing to the levels of maybe European standard up there challenging. He might look further afield and look to push on his career somewhere else. So we'll have to see where that one goes, but West Ham hoping that they can hold on to him at least for the summer. We'll talk about Thiago Mendes as well, and he's a Lille midfielder. Been linked with a couple of Premier League clubs. Everton are the latest side to express an interest in his services. Of course, they just got a deal over the line a few days ago in Andre Gomez, signing him permanently from Barcelona, but it looks as though they might be losing Idrissa Gana Gueye this summer. He was linked with Paris Saint-Germain in January. The French side failed to get him in then, but they are expected to come back in again before the new season gets underway. So Everton scrambling around, looking to try and bring someone in as a potential replacement. He's highly rated, is Thiago Mendes. He's been linked with Lyon, who of course are losing Tanguy Ndombele to Tottenham. So he's a player very much in demand. He's been talked about as a £25 million player, which for Everton at the moment, they've spent lots of money over the last few years, seems the fee they would be able to afford.
Yeah, I think they could afford that. Of course, he did have a good season with Lille. They were second in Ligue 1, so it was pretty impressive from him, and he was, a cornerstone of their midfield. I think the fact that Idrissa Gueye, if he goes from Everton, they'll be demanding around sort of £50 million. We heard those prices last January, around that. So the fact is they paid £22 million on Andre Gomez. They spend £25 million now on Mendes, and suddenly they haven't shelled out anything. They've lost one player, but they've brought two in now permanently. So I think it could be a really, really good move. And someone who I think has got similarities like Idrissa Gueye has Mendes. He's got a little bustling about him in midfield. So I think it could be a cracking signing, but have to wait and see if Everton can potentially pull that one off. The final transfer that we're looking at, or rumour at the moment, is Romelu Lukaku continues to be linked with an exit from Manchester United, and now Inter Milan have reportedly going for a 2-year loan offer to then buy him at the end of that for £50 million plus. I'm not too sure about this one, to be quite honest, but I think Lukaku needs to go, is into the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a deal that I think might come off in one way or another, as you say, potentially not the 2-year loan deal. It looks like he's going to leave Manchester United. His agent has spoken this week. He's been in Italy meeting the chiefs from Inter Milan. He was actually speaking about one of his other clients, but whilst there, also broached the subject of Romelu Lukaku and whether they could sort something out. He fell down the pecking order, didn't he, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he came in. Doesn't appear to be favoured by the United boss. So I think his exit is likely to happen this summer. And he looks like he wants to go to Italy as well, Inter Milan leading the way. There's been talk of potentially Mauro Icardi going in the opposite direction, maybe a swap deal, some cash involved in that as well. But for me, I think we've probably seen the last of Romelu Lukaku in a Manchester United shirt. Well, that's it from myself and James for today. Thanks for joining us once again here. Do follow us on all of those social media channels and make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube.